esos judíos de las 12 tribus, que no son los que mandan hoy en el Estado de Israel. Los que hoy gobiernan Netanyahu no es judío auténtico. Él es un cambalache que viene por allá de Polonia. Para los que les gusta hablar de religiones y dicen que esto es un conflicto religioso. No, esto no es un conflicto religioso. El conflicto que hay desde la fundación del Estado de Israel es un conflicto geopolítico. Porque ese Estado lo crearon para conquistar todo el Medio Oriente y Asia Central y quitarle las riquezas y colonizar esos pueblos. Es el proyecto sionista que dicen que van desde el río Jordán hasta el Éufrates y más allá.
What would you assume is the most major threat on the world stage? Anybody, just call it out. You don't have to raise your hand.
Definitely Russia.
Definitely Russia. That's confident. I like it. Who says Russia? Anybody agree with her? Hands? Okay, great. Who else?
China.
Stop yelling at me, but China is a good answer. Anybody? Who else? China?
North Korea?
North Korea. Any North Korea takers? And Venezuela? Anybody? No? Oh, yeah. One guy in the back. A little worried about Venezuela. Everybody's cool with Venezuela? No threat? Okay. Let me ask you this. Which one of these places can claim to have the largest oil deposit on the planet? More than Saudi? More than Iran? Wow. Okay, what about things like gold? More than all the mines in Africa combined? The fact is that Venezuela is arguably the single greatest resource of oil and minerals on the planet. So, why is this country in the midst?
The U.S. has carried out a series of airstrikes in Venezuela, capturing President Nicolas Maduro and his wife.
President Donald Trump has said his threats against Venezuela, the U.S. military buildup in the region, and the destruction of civilian boats are about alleged drug trafficking. But there's another issue Trump has been talking about.
The oil business in Venezuela has been a bust, a total bust, for a long period of time. We're going to have our very large United States oil companies, the biggest anywhere in the world, go in, spend billions of dollars, fix the badly broken infrastructure, the oil infrastructure, and start making money for the country.
Venezuela, on paper, has more than 300 billion barrels of oil.
Or roughly 17% of the world's known oil reserves.
Most of those reserves are in this vast deposit known as the Orinoco Oil Belt.
But there's even more potential underground.
The U.S. Geological Survey estimates that Venezuela has more than 1 trillion barrels of oil in place in the Orinoco Belt. To put it in perspective, the world until today has consumed about 1.5 trillion.
The chances are they are going to outlast the world's demand for oil, so effectively they are limitless at this point.
What's it called? Protests sparked all over the world behind this. And America just strong-armed the shit out of another nation, went in there, used military action, and took that damn president hostage. Took his ass, arrested him, right? And that's some big boy shit. That's some big boy, badass, Edomite. I could do whatever I want to do shit, and we love it. We love that, because you can't hide. When you make moves like that, you can't hide yourself. You can't jump back and say you don't rule the world. Yeah, you do. You do rule the world. Job 9:24, the earth is given into the hand of the wicked. See that? He covered the faces of the judges thereof. If not, where and who is it? Let's don't forget about the part of the narrative where Maduro is saying these people are Zionists and they're not the original, Jews, right? They may not play that on national TV media, but we got it for you. You see?
Shalom, shalom, shalom. First and foremost, before we get this epistle started, I'd like to give all praises, honor, and glory to our beloved Heavenly Father and His only begotten Son, our beloved Lord and Savior, Yahweh Bahasham, Yahweh Shai Bahasham, Harachah Kodash. Double honor is always to our beloved elder apostles and elder bishops of Great Millstone, who rule well, who teach well, who we learn the truth from daily, whether you're here for bearing a sincere salutation as always. To the rest of the hopeful elect of the nation of Israel, which consists of our sincere elders and Akim of Great Millstone and the Akim on down, that teach the likewise doctrine and all truth and sincerity with diligence. The speckled bird Hebrew Israelite foreigners scattered among the heathen, that look like the heathen, the sincere Akim of the nation of Israel, that rehearse the righteous acts of Yahweh Bahasham Yahushai in truth and in sincerity, and the sincere Akwath, that listen in silence and meekness, as the scriptures command to do so. And as you can see right here, this is a land back of the video done by the beloved Elder Manata Zagbar from GMS South Carolina, and you subscribe to his page, GMS South Carolina 08. And yeah, the elder basically, he touched upon the main point right here, which is, Esau can't hide itself. This video right here is showing you who the true nigger of the earth is. All right, because they like to put us under the byword of being the so-called black people, which black means evil, ugly, void of light. And when you get into other definitions of the word black, it goes into obscure, meaning hidden. So that's pretty much an apt byword, because being obscure, the main thing that's obscured about our people is our true identity. For the longest time, we had no idea that we were the true biblical Hebrew Israelites, but not just the so-called black people, which would be predominantly the southern kingdom, the three tribes of the southern kingdom, Judah, Benjamin, and Levi. No, it also includes the northern kingdom tribes, which in secular history they call the 10 lost tribes. All right, that would be the so-called Latinos and Native Americans. All right, from Ephraim, Manasseh, going down to Reuben, Simeon, Issachar, Zebulun. All right, Gad, Asher, and Naphtali. These are all the remaining tribes. All 12 of us all 12 tribes are Israelites. But you see, the point is, this dude Esau Edom, the so-called white man, he likes to push the narrative that he's the people of the book, the so-called Jewish people. All right, and as you can see right here, part of what may have sparked them, basically going at Maduro the way they did was, he basically Esau is like Candyman in the earth. You say his name, he's worse than Candyman, because the old thing with Candyman used to be, you say his name 3 times, he pop up, and then then it's it for you. But with Amalek, the head tribe of the Edomites, the ones that like to pretend to be us, they have an issue when somebody calls them out on that bluff that they're not really the chosen people. So not only did he say that, but he was just outright calling them out. But the main what do you call that? The boiling point, or the straw that always breaks the camel's back for Esau is when you call out Amalek as not being the true chosen people. All right, one of the the elder, he gets into that in this video, getting into the world leaders of the past that have done so, such as the former and if they haven't called out the state of Israel for being the fake people, all right, they've called them out for other crimes that basically exposes them as not being the people. The one of the former presidents of Egypt, all right, he was basically he's known for the quote that says the so-called Middle East would never know peace, which is actually Western Asia, because the Israelites they left so-called black and came back so-called white. So there's leaders of these different nations over there in that region that knows that these are not the people. All right, the same way if you from America, Babylon the Great, and you a Jake, you pretty much know what areas the hood and what areas the suburbs or whatever, and you basically instinctively know where and where not to go if you want trouble or not. It's the same way people over in that region, the various different nations that are still left in that region, the same way they know, it's common knowledge that the people there today are not the chosen people. All right, these people, their history wasn't as interrupted as our history was. Now, they may have gone through some captivity, all right, or some wars or infightings, but no one has had their history interrupted the way we have. The point of this epistle, though, not to get off topic, is that Esau can't hide himself, like the elder said. All right, this is not something that any old nation on the earth can do. Before you can make, even then you would be dead wrong. But once again, as prophecy, as time moves on, all right, prophecy starts to jump more and more off the pages. It becomes more and more apparent. You see? So whereas it used to be something where you can deny it and be like, no, well, y'all are just saying that because you're broke. Look, man, Esau has the power of the sword. That was his blessing that our forefather Isaac gave him. That was his left-handed blessing. And he's been using that blessing to do whatever the hell he wants in the earth. Now, I'm going to go ahead and get the first precept I had. This is the book of Job, chapter 9, verse 24. The elder just got it. The earth is given into the hand of the wicked. He covered the faces of the judges thereof, if not wherein, who is he? Now, this right here is a powerful precept that we always get, a oldie but goodie. All right, this precept, just like all the other precepts, are timeless. This one right here lets you know that this is a clear indicator and identifier of who the wicked is. Another reason why the anti-Christians don't like to touch the Old Testament. All right, it just like the Apocrypha, it names names, and you know, it's not no coincidence that the Old Testament and the Apocrypha used to be one and the same. Okay, but yeah, the point is, this is one of Esau's MOs, one of his calling cards. Okay, and when you have, and 9 times out of 10, when you have a particular calling card, a particular action that you do that that can identify you. All right, when certain acts are committed, whether they be thefts or deletions, you have to have a certain level of power to be able to carry it out in the first place, a certain level of cunning, a certain level of being deceitful. So the only one with the juice to do so is Esau Edom, because you can be deceitful all day. You got many, you know, what they would call 2-bit, 3-bit gangsters and you know, small time thieves and crooks. Esau always likes to put Jake on the forefront of every problem. But like the beloved elder Yashawamba always says, you know, Jake messes up neighborhoods. Esau destroys and messes up entire nations. Esau is the one that basically gave rise to the phrase economic hitman. All right, the only people whose wages Jake is oppressing on the highest level is their own people. And even if Jake wanted to oppress other nations, they don't got the power to do so. We don't got no standing military. We don't even got a damn seat at the damn UN. So what are you talking about? You see, the Lord is doing these things to make it clear who runs the earth. You can only hide your power but for so long. And this is another thing about Amalek that makes him pretty easy to find out, especially when the Spirit's dealing with you. Yahweh Bashmel Shah is revealing him. He operates in secrecy. He likes to be the shadow king. He likes to be a puppet king, control the strings from the shadows, and you know. But there's only but so much you can do that, because certain moves can only be done by certain people. Certain moves can only be done by the ones who have the energy, the stamina, the resources, the pull to do so, the clout to do so. All right, no other nation on the planet has the power to just say, oh, this nation's leader right here, this nation's president or this nation's prime minister, he's doing this and that. No other nation has the power to demonize another nation or their leader and then just outright, you know, destroy their possessions, bomb them, and then take the leader and his wife hostage. So going back to how they like to demonize Jake, and you know, once again, 2/3 of our people is wicked. We don't need a damn Edomite to tell us some shit we already know. We got to suffer at the hands of these niggas. We got to suffer because Esau makes a system that makes it easy for these niggas to just be criminals. And he glorifies it with all the rap music he's pushing out. Once again, the earth is given into the hands of the wicked. If Esau didn't want our people to be niggas, he would already have stopped it. But he realized that, you know, as much as he despises it, if he can control it, just like Esau does with all these different pestilences, all these different germs. All right, he don't want these things completely destroyed because he can make a profit off of it. He makes a profit off of death and destruction. And I do believe it's a precept that gets into that, and I believe it's Revelation 6. You know, if the Spirit allows, I'll get it out of one Ratazah, but that's what he's known for. Okay, you can't keep on hiding who you are. And that's why the Lord is exposing it, because not only is he doing this isn't even the tip of the iceberg. This is just basically a typical Tuesday for an Edomite. Now that being said, let me get another precept that I had. It was what was that precept? Salakia. Sirach chapter 14 verse 3, riches are not comely for a niggard, and what should an envious man do with money? Like I said earlier in the video, Esau is the original nigger. Because when you get into it, yeah, you know, nigger in the Latin gets into having dark skin, but then there's another application of the word that gets into being stingy. All right, and Esau, he is the original stingy motherfucker. You know, that's basically him. And, you know, he's so much of like that spirit of what Jake does. Once again, you have, going back to my point about why Jake is wicked, and we already know, we don't need to Edomite to say it, because he says it in an accusatory fashion to get the blame off of himself. He's not saying it because he wants justice in the earth. This nigga basically, the Lord put the earth in his hand, and what is he doing? He's promoting wickedness. He makes money off of everything that's harmful, everything that promotes death. He makes money off of it. He's literally a death merchant, a death monger, if you will. You see, he makes money off of these different pestilences. You know, the CVID. You can, you know, they boy one of Esau's main hitters, Fauci. You see, then you got it with you know, going back to the rap music. We got it where Jakes talk about how they gonna kidnap another Jake. And then, like, you know, you got certain Jakes that's so raunchy with it, they'll say, oh, I'm gonna kidnap him and tie his bitch up and blah, 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 blah. Esau really just did that. And not just to any old regular dude in the hood or some dude in the suburbs. He kidnapped the entire president of a whole different nation that's a neighboring nation and that man's wife. I think one of the elders said it recently, just like what Craig said to Smokey and Friday, talking about Debo. He was like, talking about Big Worm. When they owed him money and they was afraid of getting their lives taken. Basically, he was like, man, you name one dude. You said he was rolling with a gun, right? He's like, you name one dude in the hood that rolled like that. That's Esau. You can't name another nation, not one person, not a group of people. No, an entire nation of people, the ones that run the earth. There's not a single nation. There's not a single other superpower nation that runs the earth to the point that they can do what Esau just did, what American Babylon the Great just did. And once again, the state of Israel, these fake Jewish people, the fake chosen people, the people that's chosen by Satan but pretending to be chosen by the Heavenly Father, the same ones that blaspheme his only begotten son, they're going to lead America, Babylon the Great into World War III. So like the beloved bro Amath your eyes here in the camp always says, you Babylonians, you Edomites, live it up, max out your credit cards, spend, do everything you can right now, because very soon America's first world status is about to drop down to third world. And that's all through the spirit and power of Yahweh Basham Yahushua. And back to this verse right here, Sirach chapter 14, verse 3. Riches are not comely for a niggard, and what should an envious man do with money? Pretty much, he's going to do everything wicked he can possibly do. Everything wicked. Like we see right now. What is he doing? He has the most powerful nation on the planet, right? Or so he says. But why is it powerful? Because, like in the video that Apostle Hall was doing earlier, it's powerful through theft, through deletion. It's powerful through stealing the resources of other nations that have better natural resource reserves. You see, it's not like America is naturally fertile anymore. It was when Gad and Reuben and Issachar had the land, but Esau, going back to reincarnation being biblical, Esau and Cain are the same spirit. So the curse that was put on Cain, where he would try to till the earth and it would not yield forth her strength, that applies. It doesn't just apply in agriculture; it applies even to mining for minerals and resources. The Lord's not going to allow him to get that. That's why the curse, part of Esau's fall during the Dark Ages, which he calls it the Dark Ages because nothing was happening for the Edomites, but Jake was ruling Europe. The main reason why Esau was basically, pretty much relegated to those regions of which was so-called Europe today is because that's the bottomless pit, meaning it's barren of resources. Okay? There's no abundance in that region like it is in the so-called Fertile Crescent, which is Western Asia. All right? Like the promised land, the land of milk and honey, our land, Israel, the full scope of that land, not just the little small strip that these Amalekites just barely managed to wrestle out of the hands of the Ishmaelites, the so-called Arabs. Nah, our whole land, you got to get the book of Genesis, the first chapter, to get the full, the second chapter to get the full account of how much land really belongs to us over there. But yeah, it's not fertile like the promised land. It's not even fertile like the land of Ham, which is so-called Africa. You can't do anything really in Europe, man. That's why when you look at the beast, NATO and the EU, they're only mighty because of the theft of these other nations. You see, it ain't just America, Babylon the Great. That's why the Lord's making sure that Esau's house is divided. The Lord knows who the enemies are, and that's why he's revealing it unto you through his servants, the prophets. All right? Now let me get this real quick. I got to close. Sirach chapter 14, verse 6. There is none worse than he that envieth himself, and this is the recompense of his wickedness. Now you see, Esau envieth himself because basically, all right, whether they acknowledge it or not, these Russians and these Americans, they're both Edomites. Now you got Jakes in each of these nations, despite the fact they may look like so-called white men or white women. But the point is, they despise themselves, man. For the Edomites over there that have the Edomite look and actually are Edomites, and even for the ones that don't have the typical look, but are Edomites. They all despise each other. That's why you always seen this beef ever since, even when we were younger, even when we were in the world. Brothers can attest to this, sisters can attest to this. You've always seen the beef between Americans and so-called Europeans, because like the beloved Elder Malcolm brings out, there's no such thing as no damn continent called Europe. It's basically Asia. It's the part of Asia that they were able to wrest into their control. It's the part of Asia that they were able to so-called whitewash. All right, those European bloc nations, so to speak. But anyway, these individuals, ever since we were young, you'd always see how the Europeans look down, so-called Europeans look down on so-called Americans and vice versa. They look down on Americans as being, uncouth and degenerate and just trash, because essentially the trash of the British Empire came over here. These different Edomite Brits, these different Edomite Irish, different Edomite Scots. And I say that because, once again, Jakes are scattered into all nations, and our people were the original of these people. But you see, these different individuals, man, they've always had beef with each other. Now the Lord, in the last days, he's exploiting that. He's bringing that more to the forefront. See? Verse 7. And if he doeth good, he doeth it unwillingly, and at the last he will declare his wickedness. So he comes off like a charitable nation, giving aid to these weaker nations. But nah, the entire time he's pillaging them. And if he does good, he doeth it unwillingly. That's why all this aid he gives to these nations, giving the US dollar, that's a snare unto them. Scripture says the borrower is subject unto the lender. So, and because the US dollar is debt-based, you basically ensnare these people. It's a spider's web. Verse 8, the envious man hath the wicked eye. He turneth away his face and despiseth men. So he despises everybody. One of the reasons you could look at it on a smaller scale is because all the other nations, they naturally still have their melanin. You see, Esau had his melanin stripped by being the wicked. As Cain, he had it, that was the mark of Cain. It was that leprosy. And then as Esau, he just came outright not having any melanin out the womb. And the Lord did that as a reflective mark of his spirit. That's why his name in the Hebrew, Ishashua, Esau, means wasted away is he. He's wasted away spiritually, man. Oh, that's the spirit right here, verse 9. A covetous man's eye is not satisfied with his portion, and the iniquity of the wicked drieth up his soul. So his own iniquity is drying up his soul. The way he maneuvers, it hides blessings from him. If Jake was moving a certain way, if our people moving wickedly, basically removed the Lord's blessing and his favor upon us, where we went from the land of milk and honey to ghettos, the concrete jungle, all right, to ghettos, barrios, and reservations, then of course it's going to happen for Esau. The Lord just waited to the appropriate time to reverse our curses. Where the curses that fell upon us are going to fall upon our enemies. And another reason being is because Esau, the wicked, took the Lord's covenant into his mouth and pretended like he was the people. So even though he would never truly be the people, the Lord can easily, which he's doing, put the curses upon him. That's why it says, basically, let me see, the drink of the cup. Let me get that Salaki, now I'll close. Assuredly. This has been a minute, Salaki. Assuredly. Should be in Jeremiah. The Wadi Yahweh Shemel Shah. Jeremiah 49, verse 12. For thus saith the Lord Yahweh Shemel Shah, behold, they whose judgment was not to drink of the cup have assuredly drunken. Meaning Israel wasn't supposed to go off in the sense of that's our ultimate fate to forever be slaves. The Lord made it that way for prophecy, but what he's telling us is that our natural state is his chosen people. But we had to go through it before we received the kingdom and immortality and eternal rulership over the heathen and being eternally righteous. And art thou he that shall go altogether unpunished? So the Lord is asking, will this wicked nigga Esau, who's blasphemed and done everything wicked under the sun, and his sins reach unto heaven, will he go unpunished when the Lord punishes his own people that he loved? Thou shalt not go unpunished, but thou shalt surely drink of it. So he's going to drink these curses, bro. It's happening right now before your eyes. Verse 13, for I've sworn by myself, saith the Lord Yahweh Bashmi Shai. And that lets you know how real it is. It's going to happen. That Basra, the capital of the Edomites, wherever they may be, which today is America, shall be a desolation and a reproach, a waste and a curse, and all the cities thereof a perpetual waste. So all 50 states of the United States are going to be destroyed. That's all I have for this episode. Once again, I'm going to give all praise on the glory to Yahweh, Ba'ashem Yahweh Shai, Ba'ashem Harachak Wadash. Double honor as always to our beloved elder apostles and elder bishops of Great Millstone. Peace and salutations as always to the hopeful elect. Once again, Shalom.